She didn't know that I had hired your company though. And so she's
That
like,
was like a really basic
yeah.
reel.
She sends like a text, like, look, guys, we got like 30,000, whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, about that. Welcome to Now Making Moves in Real Estate, episode 45. Our guest today spent the first decade of his professional career building Heartland Foods, which was acquired by a private equity firm in early 2022 after the company generated just a mere 87 million in gross revenue. Now he helps individuals and businesses start and build their brands on social media, which is how I met him, monetize and drive revenue as VP of sales at Kearns Marketing. He's also the sales director for Dr. Rewire, helping business owners rewire their brains for financial success and abundance, which we are all about that. As an investor and hedge fund manager, he has a diversified portfolio with positions in multifamily and single family projects, late state pre IPO private equity, and oil and gas projects. So please help us welcome Justin Freishtat to the show. And I said that correctly, right?
Hey, at this point, I'm not even really sure how to pronounce it myself, so let's just go with that.
Okay, cool. Sounded good.
Yeah, nice to see you again. Welcome.
Yeah, happy to be here. I'm excited to dive into this thing.
Let's do it. Tell our listeners all about Justin.
Man, where should we start? How far back should we go?
Well, you were
East
born.
Coast. You're an East Coast guy.
Yeah, I was born in Washington, D.C., the armpit of America, and grew up all around the Beltway area. So just north of D.C. and Maryland. That's where I grew up. Played hockey. It's all I wanted to do was go play in the NHL, and then that dream eventually died in college. But you learn a lot from sports, and I guess what I learned about myself in that transition is I needed a new game to play. Right, I was never going to be a guy that could just sit at a desk or work for a fixed rate salary. So the natural transition was all right. I got to figure out how to find a game in the business world, which for me at first was just knocking doors, direct sales. Which, if you haven't done that and you want to build some thick skin, I recommend everybody do some door to door sales. Because if you can survive that, you can survive anything in the business world. I feel like it only gets easier from getting, homeowners cursing you out and slamming doors in your face, things like that. So that's kind of how it all started. And then, I just got obsessed with that game. And then, I think the biggest thing from there is once you get excellent, you need to kind of understand that you're topping out. I think most people they want to get to that place and then they want to be the cool guy in that pond that's at the top of the game. When in reality, the more times you can abandon that to a new game and keep leveling up and keep being the smallest person in the game is how you end up playing big games. So that's kind of what's happened since then.
Speaking of big games, before I meant to say in the intro or right now, that you are going to offer a special offer to our listeners for your savvy services at the conclusion of our show. So I won't give up what that is. I just want to put people on the hook to listen because I've only been using your introductory services for a short period of time, and so far I'm very happy. So I want everybody to stay tuned and so tell our listeners what it is that you're doing on social media for brands.
Yeah, the social media thing started for me. I'm gonna say around the pandemic. It was kind of I saw all these kids on social media that were 10 years younger than me making millions of dollars from their phones. I'm like, there's something to this, right? Because I'm 37, so we didn't really have social media for the first business that we built. So I kind of had the real world experience of everything from call centers to direct mail, running Facebook ads, Google SEO. I've done all the traditional stuff and I was kind of late to the social media game, in my opinion, um, which changes over time. You always feel like you're late when you show up to something. So I started a Facebook group for all of our clients at Heartland Foods. That's how it kind of started. I would go live in there. I was terrible on camera. I was horrible. But for whatever reason, I did it anyways. And then it turned into, okay, now I got to build an Instagram. And I did it all for organic food, health, and wellness. had nothing to do with how my brands transitioned over time. So the biggest lesson for social media is everybody wants to start it after they've done the thing. It's the opposite. You want to start it when you haven't done anything and let everybody see the journey you go through on the way to that thing. So when we eventually sold that business, which came out of nowhere, by the way, the pandemic hit. We were in organic food delivery. It was the perfect industry. Business blew up. We were able to sell it to a private equity firm. So overnight, I had to reinvent myself. And I had started building this brand already. So I was like, okay, I got to really dive in on this. And whatever I do next, I want to use this thing. So I hired the guys who I'm now partnered with at Kern's Marketing to build my brand. So I'll give them all the credit. I've learned everything about branding and social media from these guys, and they're literally 7, 8 years younger than me. And it's kind of a weird dynamic when you get to the age where you can listen to younger people, which has been great. So I think just having no ego, looking at who's actually killing it, and just listening, like the amount of people that push back on me when I tell them how to win that have done nothing is just mind blowing to me. So that's the lesson from that. But I took it and then said, okay, I'm gonna have a health coaching company. It was the natural next step from organic food. That did pretty well on social media. But then I'm looking at the capital world. I've been investing privately in projects for a long time, and I wanted to get involved in that because I saw how big the margins are, and when the numbers get bigger, like how lucrative it is. And so I started raising capital for hedge funds and real estate syndications. Whatever I could partner with to leverage my brand to raise money, and that turned out to over 10 million raised in the first year doing it, and I never spent a dollar on ads. I did it all through guerrilla marketing on social media. So it can absolutely be done. If you need to be realistic with yourself on where you are in the food chain. If you got 10, 20, 30 grand a month to spend on ads, cool, let's do that. If you don't, this is the way to do it. You got to do a grassroots brand build and monetize through DM outreach.
Hmm. I was telling you about the DM outreach, which we do ish, right? Talk about that, the DM outreach.
Yeah, it can be used for tons of different things, right? So when I'm raising capital, the way you would think you would send DMs is let's find doctors, lawyers, rich people and send them DMs, accredited investors, right? That's not what I did, because taking somebody cold from a social media DM to, hey, it's 100,000 minimum, that's a tall order. So I said, okay, how do I leverage other people's stages, people that have invested millions of dollars into their brands, their podcasts, and bring in warm networks through long form content? So I just did mass DMs to every podcast in the country that had anything to do with real estate, crypto trading, infinite banking, life insurance. If it was about money, I wanted to be there because that's where the people I wanted to monetize were. And by doing that, it it also allows you to network with the top people in your space. And then it's what else can we do together? Speak on my stage, come to my event, do my podcast, right? And before I knew it, I had so much content all over the internet and people, watching my long form, leveraging other people's stages, that I had enough inbound leads coming through my Instagram to raise all that capital.
So impressive.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
In a year? You did that in 1 year?
Well, in 11 months, and I'd never done it before.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That's
So then we're like, okay, that's cool, right? When we raise money for late stage private equity, right? Last year we did rounds on SpaceX, Flexport. These are some of the best investments in the world. But that money goes in, you raise the money, and now you got to wait for IPO. So we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 years until a liquidity event where we can actually get paid on it. Like they're monster paychecks, but that doesn't help you with your cash flow. So we needed something else to use the social media to get paid today. And that's why we're like, all right, we've been doing this successfully. Nobody else is doing this model. So on January 1st of 24 this year, we launched the social media marketing company. And organically, again, no ads. We've done over 1 million in sales this year, and that's our fast money engine. So this this strategy works. We've done it for tons of different industries. I'll give you another example, right? Like roofers. Like we got roofers and they wait for storms, right? Because the insurance companies will pay for the roofs, so it's like a free roof. So we wait, big hurricane comes through Florida or through Texas, and those clients, now we're gonna mass DM zip codes where there's damage from their big brands. These guys cleaning up hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in a couple month period through Instagram.
Wow. So with your company, that it sounds like there's different levels of services that like what are some different things that you do?
Yeah, it's there's people who spend $500 a month with us, and there's people who spend 100 grand a year, right? So it really depends. Back to the food chain thing, like where are we starting from? Do you have a big business or are you just getting started? So most people that we work with are in that solopreneur-ish phase where a big ad spend budget just isn't there. So, step one is building the brand. How do we do that? We need to get a big following. The vanity metrics matter. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue. I'm not going to argue with you about this stuff. Like, people are like, I'm just going to post for the next 10 years and hopefully it works. Like, you're going to lose to the people who know how to do this. It just doesn't matter anymore. Everyone's on the platform. The saturation is there, and Meta wants you to spend money with them. So if you're not going to put a ton of money behind that boost button, like good luck going viral unless you get really lucky and you're the hot tuba girl of this month, right? It's just not going to happen. So how do we fix that, right? So we're going to leverage other big brands. Last month we did a collaboration with Cardi B. This month we're doing one with Khloe Kardashian. She's going to put up a post. It's going to have a bunch of YSL bags, Louis Vuitton, and it's going to say, hey, one of my followers is going to win all this. All you have to do to be entered to win is go follow this list of accounts, right? Those are accounts that are paid spots that we steal the following essentially from that brand. So anybody who goes into a campaign like that is going to get 50 to 100,000 followers over a 2 to 3 week period after she makes that post. So that's how we leverage it. We do smaller campaigns with mid-tier influencers every month that'll get 10 to 20,000 followers, but you can build a brand like that overnight, right? It doesn't mean you're going to make money with it. It doesn't mean you're going to monetize those followers. That's not the reason to do it. You want the brand credibility. So then we can go to targeted DMs and pull the right avatar into your brand. And when they land on your page, you are the industry answer because of how big your brand is built.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because when you were first saying that, I'm like, yeah, but they're not maybe not the followers that you want, your avatar, and then you just explained.
That's how he found me.
Right.
And then
Right. So you're the perfect example, right? My VAs are sending out 30 to 50 DMs a day. They're looking all over Instagram for people who are paying for a blue check, 10,000 followers or less, low engagement, and they are creating content. They're investing in their brand and they don't have results. So I'm the answer to that, right? So all we have to do with a client is say, okay, who's the person you help? How do we find them? Right. And we pull them into a big brand.
video message.
Yeah, taking the time to do a selfie, all the difference in the world. Nobody does that, right? Look, and I know that everybody listening to this, you probably get 20 DMs a week, at least, of people trying to sell you likes, comments, followers, all this stuff. Why do people do business with us? Because we're not slinging bots in your face like these people are. And I'm not trying to sell you in the first message. I'm actually trying to establish a relationship. I follow you first. I like your stuff. I comment on it. I go through the stories. I make sure I'm supporting these people before they do business with me.
How many people are working with you in your business? Like if someone signs up, are they working with you directly? Are they working with a team? How does that work?
Yeah, so regardless of the package you sign up for, you come into the mastermind group on WhatsApp. We do a coaching call live on Zoom once a week on Tuesdays. So anybody can show up to that, ask questions. We have a different topic every week. We basically just give away the social media game for free and then say, do it on your own. Or if the time is more valuable, hire us to do it. We're not gatekeeping anything. We want to see everybody win. And what was the original question?
If they're working with you or how many people are on your
Yeah.
team that your clients are working
Yeah.
with?
Yeah, so they'd work directly with the person that brings them in. It's either going to be me, Sergio, or Cody. Those are we're the three partners in this business, but um it depends what the service is. We have over 20 editors on staff. So if we're doing your content creation, we use monday.com for deliverables. You'll see all your reels getting uploaded in there, and then you give feedback if you want it to be re-edited or any tweaks. If you're working with the following and the engagement, it's automatically attached to your page. So the second you post a reel, it's API dropped into our groups, and you'll see a ton of activity flooded to your posts in the first 15 minutes. So the idea with that is cool. We got a big following number, but if the engagement doesn't match it, everybody thinks it's fake. So we need to have congruency on the brand. And the way we do that is we have thousands of people in these different groups that have different jobs, right? So one of them is the second you post, they're going to go to your content, they're going to watch it all the way through because Instagram's algorithm's looking at watch time. They're going to like it, they're going to comment something relevant, they're going to hit the share button, and then you're going to watch your stuff go through the explore pages, through the algorithm much more efficiently than it would have if you just posted. So um, you can look at the results, you can talk to any of our clients. Your stuff's going to catch traction when you kind of, you know, throw a ton of engagement at it in the first 15-20 minutes.
Mhm. Well, I've seen it online, so it's and it's only been I don't know how and I know when we first talked, it wasn't like the package I signed up isn't necessarily designed to drive following, it's the engagement. So which is working, and so I'm interested to learn about that next package on driving followers. Mhm. That was where you do
Yeah.
the clap, basically? Yeah. Well, that one is pretty expensive, so I don't know that I think there's something in between.
Yeah, the big tier celebrities are gonna be expensive. They're anywhere from 5 to 10 grand to get into those campaigns, but you get 50 to 100,000 followers. So if you divide that down, it's like $1,000 for every 10K, which is, you know, a little bit more expensive than our normal campaigns, but the quality is much better, right? We can do mid-tier influencers, those are $500 to get 10,000 followers. So it's not crazy expensive. It's about, and I want to be clear about something strategy wise. It's not about how many followers you have. It's about making your online brand match the player you are in the real world. If I had 5 million followers, it would be kind of silly. I'm not that famous, right? So I I look at, okay, who are the players in my space? Who's doing 100 million in sales? Like that's to me, for what I do, I think I'm around 100,000 follower, 200,000 follower guy, right? You got to figure out what that is for you, and that's the number, the metric you want to achieve, and then you pull back from those campaigns, and that's why we do everything month to month or quarter to quarter with no contracts because we need to change your package depending on what the brand needs at any given time.
Mhm, which I liked that too. Yeah, not like a year contract or a 6-month contract or quarterly or, so
Yeah, my opinion is if you have the results, you'll get the retention. You don't need a contract.
mm, that's a breath of fresh air, and all of it was a breath of fresh air. That's why it worked. I was like, "Oh, why not? Why not give this I'm not locked in. It's not crazy expensive. I got to meet you. We hit it off, not just from the social media thing, but also your investing side. You know what I mean? We had conversations around that. So I'm like, no
Well,
brainer.
there's just like you said, we're hit up with a lot. Like I got your messages and totally blew you off. I was like, another, another spam or whatever, because there's so many out there. It's hard to know which ones are legit that really do what they say they're going to do or going to move the needle for you on what you're trying to achieve with your own goals. So it's nice to have someone that's already been vetting you. Here you go, everyone listening. Michelle's been using them. It's
Yeah.
working.
I just see the value in like, I want to know more. Like I touched on our podcast. Like we want to grow our podcast. We haven't even had a conversation on like, how can you help us do that? Right.
Yeah.
It's not our
I mean, yes, some of the biggest podcasts in the world that, charge 5 to 10 grand, some 20, 30, 50,000 to go on them have built their brands this way, right? So and this is for people who want to go on podcasts, think about it this way. If you invest 10, 20 grand in your brand, now all of a sudden you're being invited onto the podcast where normally it costs 20 grand, right? So a lot of building a brand is the access it gets you with people, but also the money you won't have to spend to get in those rooms, to get on those stages.
Wow. Yep.
Mind blown a little bit here. Can we circle back around a little bit on a different note with your investment side, right? Because obviously we both invest and a lot of our listeners are realtors. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I started investing first in single family homes. That was, my wife and I, we were broke. The first thing we did, we had negative net worth. She's going to school. I'm knocking doors. Our first thing was we got to get the first property. So naturally, and I think it's a great strategy for anybody who doesn't really want to be an investor but wants to have investments. Buy whatever you can afford, go live in it for a year. It's going to be on a primary residence rate, right? Investor rates are going to be higher. So you live in it for a year, you save up all the cash you can, you eat peanut butter and jelly. Like this is all stuff we did, right? Like
Mhm.
drive a 20-year-old car. Like if you have the vision, make those sacrifices early. And then you buy the second one, you move out, you rent that one out, right? That's what we did to get our first few properties. You let time take care of it. Those properties are worth double what we paid for them ten years ago, right? And then it was, okay, I want to graduate to bigger units. I'm not, you know, that savvy. I don't want to be an operator in multifamily. So it was, okay, who can I meet and partner with that's doing bigger deals? That's how I got involved in syndications. And, like you just keep putting the inputs, work on your primary business. Now you got all this extra cash, then you make the investment, right? Which then turned into, okay, oil and gas deals, like going to all these investment groups. I would spend 5, 10 grand to be in a room for a weekend to meet all the people that are now my partners in business. So, like, this is like, if anybody sends me a message of like, I give you this much money, what do I get? I'm like, you already lost. Like, the best investments I've made were on blind faith where I had no clue what was going to happen. Like, you've got to be okay with losing a lot to get the home run. So if that's
Mhm.
not your mentality, like just go get a W-2. Don't even go into this game because you're going to lose a whole lot more than you're going to win.
So why don't you tell our listeners what you're gonna offer them if this special that you sent me. You give it up.
Yeah. So 20% off any marketing service at Turns Marketing. So whatever the first thing you do with us, we'll shave 20% off. That's my piece. So I'll give you a free month. And if you want, with Dr. Rewire, the program that I have with him is about sales, driving revenue. Between the two of us, we have over 150 million in sales, and we teach it. And we have a weekly call. It's a 1 year program, bunch of modules. It's a great mastermind. But it's called Revenue Rewire. And to get on that, there's a strategy session. It's 45 minutes. So whether you sign up or you don't, I'll give you a free strategy session for that. So at the very least, I can give you 45 minutes of my time.
I love that.
That's great. All right. Well, how do our listeners find you?
Instagram. It's so crazy. I deleted my website. Don't even want it anymore.
Just funneling all through your Instagram.
Yeah. When I meet people in person, like leverage your brand. The first thing I say is, hey, what's your Instagram? Like if they try to give me a business card, I'm like, cool, but what's your Instagram? Like,
Mhm.
like business cards go to die somewhere. You'll forget. You'll never even know you met that person. You get their contact, it goes to die in your contacts. But if we can follow each other on social media, you're going to see me every day.
Mhm.
I realized that on second to last day at a conference I was at. I'm like, oh my gosh, do my digital business card, but still a business card. And finally, I'm like, what am I doing? Here, scan this, go to my Instagram page.
Oh,
I
wow.
just wish I had thought of it
Yeah.
like 5 days earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game changer for your in-person networking, especially after you build the brand and you just casually say, "Hey, let's follow each other." And they see your brand, like watch it, their eyes light up. And next thing it's like they're just locked in, right? Like, how do I learn more from you? How do I do business with you? What can we work on? It's instant credibility. Like you need that when you meet people.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Makes
so
sense.
great. I know I'm going to take advantage of your 20% off deal.
Nah.
Let's do it.
So, Justin, sold.
All right. Well, thank you, Justin, for hopping on. Appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to continuing to build my brand, our brand, and help our listeners. In fact, we just had a call with an agent in Texas, and he was like, I need help on social media. And I was like, listen to our podcast.
Yep.
So,
I think it's a common thing with realtors. A lot of realtors hate doing their social. So they need
Well, that's the number one industry that needs it, that is resistant to it, doesn't want to listen to me, thinks they know everything, and they put no effort into,
mhm.
into their pages. They just I'm just gonna say it, like I'm not even like hiding anymore. It's literally the hardest conversations I have are with realtors, right? Because they're doing a real world thing. They don't want to put effort in this online thing. They don't know the power of it because they haven't done it yet. But if you can build the biggest brand in your community, you're gonna crush it. When you think people when they're looking at realtors don't go look at your social media, like you're losing business to the person who has a bigger brand than you. I
That's what
promise.
he said.
But
they could believe that.
even bigger than that, though, like these are some of the capabilities. Like once you have the brand built, Like we can scrape following lists, we can mass DM zip codes, we can make you dominant. Every single person in your area will know who you are.
Well, I don't know if we should actually share this episode. Maybe we just keep all these gold nuggets for us. I'm just kidding. I just
It's okay because the reality of people is there's one out of 1,000 that'll actually do something with it.
right. Yeah. Well, and they think, oh, I'm just gonna make a little Canva template here and pop that on, and I'm good. Like, no, you're not.
No, actually, what it is you're spamming.
Yeah.
Like all you do is post on social media, and you're not being social with other people. You're spamming the platform.
Mm, good way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Justin. We appreciate it. And more to come in our relationship, working together. I'm super excited. And we'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
My pleasure.